Hello, and happy beginning of the writing retreat. Hello, I am Sophie. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first installment of the writer's retreat. Very exciting. It is December 4th. We'll talk about that in a second. December has started, which means we are officially in the writer's retreat. Ironically, I had been writing like crazy, kind of, up to the writer's retreat. Mostly because it was Thanksgiving break, so the 27th through the 30th, I was just writing like a madman because I had nothing else to do. And that was great, and that was awesome, and I wrote like almost 2,000 words a day for those 4 days. And then December comes around, and I have not written a single thing for December. On December 1st, I drove home, and then up until today, I have been studying because today I had an exam that I need to study for. So I'm finally here now. Hello. And we're gonna get started. I have a couple hours until I need to leave the house, and I'm gonna use those couple of hours to write. Right now, I am working on Project Glass still. Not mad about it. I'm having a lot of fun writing this book. I feel like I've talked about this before many times, but sometimes when I am drafting, it is somewhat difficult, or very difficult, to come up with the right words for certain things, and it just comes out very stale and very forced. And I really don't want that. Nobody wants that, but especially for this draft, which is draft 2, technically draft 3 because of the zero draft, I really don't want it to feel forced and stale and weird. So I'm really taking the time to make sure that the stuff that does feel weird feels slightly less weird. And that's caused a lot of pausing and rewriting and deleting and rewriting and deleting again in a couple of spots. There was a couple times that I was like, yeah, we're starting over. We are starting this chapter over. We're starting this scene over. It's not gonna work. And ultimately it ends up so much better than I thought it would. And that is where I am right now. That is what I'm stuck in at the moment. Really just setting up what happens in this chapter. It's I started it. It sounded very forced, it sounded very stale, weird, you know? And I had kept it because I need to keep the same ideas that I do share in the intro, but just introduce them better. So I am now in the rewriting stage. Here's the setup. This is what I'm writing. This little patch on the top. I started this in class today. Don't hit me up. And all this down here is the stuff I need to add, but make it sound better. So that's what's happening, and that's happened many times in this draft so far. Many. Less than 10, but like still, it's kind of annoying. But it is coming out better than it would have been if I had just like powered through and hoped for the best, which is what I usually do. So, taking time. We're doing the rewrites. It's like, at most points, it's like a couple paragraphs that's being rewritten, but we're taking the time to make it, you know, not suck as much, which is a plus, which is good. Oh my god. There was one part where the older sister of the two main characters in this story, she's supposed to be very sporty, she's supposed to be very active, she's very like fit and slim. She's like one of the popular girls, but like small town popular girl, you know, like she's not like a mean girl, but she's friends with everybody, that kind of thing. But she was supposed to be very sporty in this book. She's supposed to be in a couple of sports in her school, and as I wrote further and I started approaching the scene where we're actually supposed to see her at one of these sports meets, it just didn't feel right for her anymore. I was like, this doesn't really fit with who I'm writing now. But I wanted to keep the whole active thing, the whole, like, she's a very like fit person, and through whatever she's doing is how she knows like everyone in the school. I wanted to keep those ideas for her. And then I was like, oh my god, she wouldn't be a swimmer or a volleyball player, because swimmers and volleyball players are very muscular, and she's not very muscular. But she wouldn't be those kind of people. She would be a dancer. It seems so obvious now, and it seems so natural now, but it literally took writing the beginning of a scene not liking it, trying to start over and figuring out how to introduce it, before I was like, you know what would make much more sense? If instead of trying to force her to be a swimmer, or trying to force her to be a volleyball player, which she was supposed to be both, she's a dancer. She dances. That is her thing. And it ties in with how she's coping with everything that's happening in the town. It was so good. It was so good. Just reinforces her as a character, which is, we need that. But yeah, that was a major story alteration that came from the rewrites. Usually it's not that big, but all good things, all good things. If I didn't do that, we would be stuck with an older sister character that does sports, and I would have to figure out in the revision that she should be a dancer instead. So we figured it out, or even worse, I would have figured it out during the second half of the book and had to go back and change it. So thank God we figured it out now. Anyways, that's my intro, that's my rant. Oops. It is 4 p.m. now. I've got 2 hours exactly before I need to leave. We're gonna see what I can do. I really want to finish chapter 9, which is the chapter I'm on. I feel like I should have specified that. I don't think I did. It's a backstory scene about how the main character's parents get infected by the virus and everything that is taking over their town. Very fun stuff. I really enjoyed writing this in draft 1. It was a lot of fun to write in there, and I'm very excited to write it here. One more note. I have stopped looking at draft 1 for reference. If I start doing that, I start comparing my writing again. I've talked about this before. I think it was in my like Vegas trip vlog or something. And it was with Project Glass as well. I had kept comparing the first and like second chapters from the 0 draft to draft 1. Or maybe it was a previous version of draft 1 to the draft 1 that I ended up finishing. But I don't know. I don't know what happens with this project, but I'm always referencing back to what I had written previously, and it just creates a spiral that's not good. And honestly, I end up coming up with better ideas if I just don't look at the previous draft. There was one scene about the younger sister character that I was almost going to copy and paste verbatim from draft 1, and then I ended up leaving the notebook that has draft 1 in it at home while I was out, and I couldn't reference it. So I had to just write what came to my brain. I know, crazy concept. Oh my God, it ended up so much better. We know so much more about her because I didn't just copy and paste, because I used my brain. I know, crazy concept. You have to use your brain to make new story. I'm just learning this, okay? Anyways, all that to say, I really want to reference this scene from draft 1, but I also remember that this scene wasn't very good action-wise in draft 1. So we're not going to reference it, we're not going to look at it, we're not going to compare, we're going to do better. Yes, let's go. don't mind my hair. It's up, but it looks a little weird from the front. Don't worry about it. Let's see, it is December 8th. It has been a while since I've updated. I haven't updated since like the 3rd or the 4th or something. Not much writing's been getting done. I've been focused more on school, and that's how it's gonna be for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, until I am done with finals and I am free from the shackles. But today is Sunday. Yesterday was a stream day, and I've been getting some good words in this weekend, so we're still up. We're still going. But let's talk about yesterday before we get into today. So like I said, yesterday was a stream day, which went very well. I think I got a little over 1,000 words during the stream, and I finished chapter 9, and that was a lot of fun. It's one of the scenes that I do enjoy in the book, or that I look forward to in the book. I enjoy every scene in the book, I guess, but this is one I had been looking forward to writing, and I think I had like overhyped it in my head and didn't know how to execute it. But we got there, we figured it out, and I think it turned out well. We'll see later. And yesterday, which kind of cut my writing to being only during the stream, I also saw Beetlejuice on Broadway. On Broadway, the touring production that was here. One of my friends drove down here and we got tickets to go see it together. That was so much fun. I had been wanting to see that show and I didn't have anyone to go with because like no one in my family wanted to see Beetlejuice and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe I'll just go by myself. And then she was like, hey, you want to go get tickets to this? And I was like, perfect. You read my mind. I love that soundtrack. I love that show. And I'm very, very happy that I was able to see it. But because of that, the rest of my day was pretty much just for that. So I ended up with maybe 1,500 words for yesterday, and I'm hoping to do more than that today, which, let's move on to today. Right now, my ultimate long stretch pray for me goal is 5,000 words. If I can, I want to write 5,000 words today. I want to get a significant chunk of this book done because I wanted this book done before this month started, and that's clearly not happening. So pushing to get it done is what's happening now. But I've already written for maybe an hour and a half so far. It's been going kind of slow because I was doing like face masks and stuff. There's like some other stuff that came up and everything, you know how it is. But I do have almost 1,000 words today so far. I'm saying 5K is my stretch goal because for right now, my goal in my program, my writing program, is 2,000 words. So I'm gonna start and try and hit 2,000, and then we'll just keep going up from there, see what I can do. So far, all I have written is in chapter 10. That's where we are right now. There's my total for today. So every chapter is about 1,500 words or 2,000 words. So with 5K, I should be able to get like 2 or 3 chapters, maybe, depending on how long they end up being, because the shortest in here is 1,000 words, and then the longest is just under 2,000. So staying in that range, we could get like 2 or 3 chapters done today. That's what we're hoping for. At least I am pulling out all my secret weapons. Secret weapons, I talk about them here all the time. I did try classical music for a little bit. Didn't really work. I just like couldn't get into the music, so I was like, oh, we're switching it up. So I moved on to the Disney Plus Frozen 2 docuseries that I talked about in a video recently. I'm watching that right now, and then once I'm done with that, I will be watching this series on YouTube. Hold on. It is a playlist about movie production, which is not what I'm in, obviously, but is by Studio Binder, and it is the stages of filmmaking. It goes through everything, not even just like script writing or anything, but like all the production of it. And it's just, it gets me so focused. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of their other videos too get me really focused. Anything about screenplay writing gets me like focused in the zone and ready to work. But this is a playlist already, and it's like almost 3 hours long, the whole playlist. So I just put that on and write to it and do the good work. But I'm going to finish watching the Disney Plus docuseries, and then we will switch to that. And I'll update you when something interesting happens, I guess. 2K has finally been hit. It is 7:30, but I also showered. So like there was a slight break. We've hit 2,000 words, literally finally. As I'm writing this scene, I think it's gonna be a scene that's all its own chapter, so it might be a really short chapter. I'm on chapter 11, by the way. We finished chapter 10. Let's go. But as I'm writing this scene, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the scene. Okay, I know what I want to do with the scene, but I don't know if it's going to fit here anymore. There was a sort of relationship thing I wanted to add into this that would begin a sort of end for two characters. It was the beginning of the end for two characters, and this was just going to be the introduction to them being like, ooh, something not good is going to happen. But with how I'm setting this up, I don't think that's going to work. There was another thing I needed to put in this scene anyways, though, that comes up at the midpoint of the story, so the scene's going to stay, but I'm still like, literally as I am drafting it right now, I'm trying to figure out if I can even incorporate this beginning of the end thing in here. But I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it, maybe I don't even have to. Maybe I don't even have to, because I introduced something else between those two characters that I think can contribute to the same beginning of the end thing without it being so obvious. So maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have to. Maybe I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Never mind. But anyways, 2,000 words. I made myself a matcha. Now that I know I don't have to do that, maybe this scene will go better. I just have one more thing that I need to put in this scene, and everything else is discovery things, which is so fun, which is so great. That is another thing that I learned recently, is that I am much more of a discovery writer than I thought I was. Not discovery as in discovering what the story's about, or like the plot of the story that I outline all the way, but I discover so much about like the characters, about the nuance of the characters and the nuance of the world, and like the very minute but important details of the story in the draft. Like there's no way I could come up with that during outlining, during brainstorming, but it's during drafting where I come up with like either stuff that alters the plot and then I have to go back and change it, or it's stuff that reinforces what I already have so well that I'm like, why did I not think of that already? I mean, already in Project Glass, there's been so much stuff. I already talked about it in this video where I realized instead of my older sister character being a sort of sporty person, she's a dancer. Like that just made so much more sense. And also how both sisters think and how they're processing what's going on in the town. That is all completely new. That is all completely new. That is being discovered while I draft. I mean, like the basic boiled down version of what they think, as in like, oh, they want to stay and reminisce and preserve the town and they want to run away. Like that, I knew those two things. But why they feel like that or how they've come to that conclusion, I didn't have that. I didn't have that at all until I started drafting. And I realized, I think yesterday on the stream, that I was like, whoa, I in a sense, I am a discovery writer as well. Which, don't get me wrong, I feel like most people in that sense are too, where it's like, you don't know everything about your book before you start writing. Very impressive if you do, but I feel like most people don't. But it just took a second, I guess, for me to realize, like, there's a lot of stuff that I still discover once I start writing, and there's so much more information I learn. That is how writing works. I am aware, but something I was thinking about recently. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna see how long this scene gets. If it doesn't get over 1,000 words, I'll add another scene to this chapter. But I'm probably gonna have to add another scene to this chapter. I don't think this scene's gonna be very long. Let's see what it's at right now. Oh yeah, it's at 715 words. I don't know if it's gonna hit 1,000. Saying that though, it might. It might. Because it's always the chapters that I'm like, oh, it's gonna be small, it's gonna be short. I don't have a lot of information about this scene. I don't know what I'm doing. They end up being the longest chapters. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm saying right now, I don't think this is gonna go on much longer. But I'll be back to let you know if I eat those words or not. Wish me luck. I have returned. Let's get a brighter screen here. There we go. It is now 11 p.m. 11:02. p.m. and I have 3,603 words so far for today. Oh my god. I've written 2.5 chapters now. I've written chapter 10, chapter 11, and then the first scene in chapter 12, and things are going pretty good. Things are going pretty good, I can't lie. I know I talked at the beginning of this vlog about how I wasn't going to reference draft 1 because I didn't want to compare myself to past me. Alas, for one scene, I did end up referencing draft 1 because I remember how I had written it in draft 1 was how I want it to be still. It turned out really well, or you know, decent, and it gets the point across that I want for each character because it's a very tense scene, I guess. It's not, I don't know if tense is the right word, but it's a very important scene where we really see how each character in this book react to terrible occurrences, aka someone getting infected with this virus and everyone knowing that he's going to die in like 2 weeks time or sooner. So I wanted to make sure I kept that consistent because I really liked how I had written it in draft 1 here. I felt like I really hit each character on the nose with their reactions to like processing what was happening, and I was like, I know if I don't reference it I'm gonna mess it up and I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna try and fix it. So I'm just gonna read through the scene now, see what it was like, and we're gonna use it. So I did. Oopsies, broke my own promise. I know, I'm sorry, but it wasn't like I copy and pasted it word for word. I definitely added more to it. I feel like the scene is like 50% larger than it was in draft 1. I can't really tell you how long it is because everything's handwritten, so it's really just an educated guess and not really even that educated in the first place. But I think if I didn't reference it I would have gotten it wrong and I wouldn't have liked it. But here I think it's pretty good, and I just hit the halfway point word count wise for the entire draft, I think. Right? 35,000 words, that's my projected goal right now, and I just hit 17.7 thousand words. So that's a little over half, right? Please tell me I'm doing that math right. Yes, okay. So I just hit halfway of my projected goal. The way things are going, I think it's gonna get over that because let's see, that is halfway word count wise, and plot wise, oh no, plot wise, let me hold these better. We're like this. This is what I've written. This is what's left. So I'm more like a third of the way through this project right now instead of halfway. So, uh-oh. To be fair, there's a lot more detail in this version of the draft than any time previous. So I guess it will be longer, but I don't think, it definitely won't ever get to like project what long, which is like over 100,000 words. This one's definitely staying below that, probably below like 80,000 too. It's gonna be, it's still gonna be a shorter book, but it's definitely gonna be longer than I thought. Maybe I should update that now. If 17,000 is the third of the way, okay, so that would be like about 50,000. It's 51. I'm gonna update the goal. We're gonna say it's gonna be 50,000 instead, and we're gonna see what happens. If I underwrite that, I underwrite that. I wouldn't be surprised. But if I overwrite that, I'm going to be mad. If I underestimate the ending word count for a draft one more time, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. But that is my update so far. I think I'm gonna write to 4,000. I don't think I'm gonna make it to 5 though. It's going decently well. I am just getting tired. And I'm also, I don't know if this happens to you guys. It's happened to me before when I have like been revising Project What and all I've been reading is my own writing for days at a time, where I kind of get, I don't want to say like sick of my own writing style, but it just becomes so like, it just feels so repetitive, and it's like, oh, we're back here again. I feel like maybe it is like just like getting tired of my own writing style and hearing it so much. But sometimes I'll get to a certain point where I'm writing and I'm like, have I not said this already? Did I not already say this? Like, is this not deja vu? Am I copying myself right now? And I'm kind of getting to that point. So I'm going to stop here pretty soon. I do want to finish the scene I'm working on, and that would finish chapter 12, which would be nice, but this is a completely new scene for this book, so I have no idea what direction it's going in yet. Yay! I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else I was going to say. Yeah, just the whole thing where I'm like, every time I start a new scene, I'm just like, am I being generic here? Have I lost the sort of style of this book and the style of my writing, and has it just become like default writing for me, where it's not as stylized as it should be for like the specific project? Especially with how far I am in the drafts, like I feel like Project What has a somewhat distinct voice, and I feel like I can hold that throughout the book. I also feel like Project What is closer to my like default writing style, so it does make it easier, but it does have its own voice in a sense. And by default writing style, I mean like the writing style I use for like zero drafts, or for like new projects that I've never encountered before, that I'm writing for the first time, like short stories, or like, you know, just like random stuff. That's my default writing style. And I mean, Project What should have its own style, because we're on draft 3 now? Yeah, once I'm working on it again, we'll be in draft 4, so it better have its own voice. But things like the second book in the series, Project Moss, doesn't really have that same voice yet. It kind of does because of the characters, and you know, they bring their own thing to the story, but like overall it's kind of lacking, just because it is a new story. I'm trying to figure out what's happening before I can like make it pretty. And like Project Star, I wrote the entire trilogy, and it does have a bit of its voice, again, because of the characters. The characters in that book are very different from one another, so their two voices did have to be distinct even from the start. So it does kind of have its own style. Not really though. When we're in scenes, especially action scenes, yuck. Or like travel scenes where the two characters are together, it does get a little generic, gotta be honest. But they are zero drafts, so that will always change. But Project Glass, right here, right now, should have its own voice. And I feel like it does. It comes out really strong sometimes. If I'm really into the scene, it'll come out super well, and I'm like, yeah, that's a Project Glass line right there. Like that's what Project Glass is all about. And then as things like slow down, I kind of sit back and I'm on my phone a little bit more, I'm like, okay, we're getting into like the more generic, like default writing style, like my default writing style, and it just gets like boring, and it gets like sad. And that's where the whole like repetitive Groundhog Day kind of thing comes from, I think, where it's like, oh, we're starting a new scene, we're gonna start it the same way as the last 4 scenes. Like, please let me know if you guys feel the same, especially when you're looking at nothing but your project for days on end, like during revision or during like crunch time for writing, where it's just like, I need to look at something else. I need to not be in my head this much right now, because that's where I'm getting to at this point. But I do want to try and finish the scene. Please, I want to finish the scene. For right now though, 3,603 words. That might be my stopping point. If not, cool. But that is my little update. I'm getting tired, and I should probably go to sleep soon because I have class tomorrow. But wish me luck. Hello, editing me here because I didn't film an outro like a genius. So I'm here now to close out this video because it ends very abruptly if I don't. Let's see. The scene I was talking about in this last clip, I did not end up finishing that day. I think I pretty much ended at the 3,600 words that I had. Maybe got 100 other words added to that before I was like, this isn't happening. Good night. But no significant amount of work got done after this. And we are now like a week out from this. This video is going out way later than when I filmed it. Oops, I apologize. I mean, as a little update now to tell you how the retreat's been going since then, since we're about halfway through the first month. Slow. One word, slow. I'm still in finals week. It's been like final 2 weeks, but whatever. I have one more exam and I'm free, but I do still have one more exam. And since that point, nothing but studying's been happening. I have written a little bit. I have some other videos that are gonna come out that I filmed already. But for the most part, Everything has been studying, everything has been getting ready to close off this semester. So not a ton of writing has been happening, unfortunately, but we are almost done. But yeah, the scene I was talking about didn't get written by the end of this. It actually didn't get written for a long time, even after this video was done. It was a very character-focused scene, and I'm not great at character-focused scenes. So it was a little slow. I was trying to find a direction for it to go in. It took a while. And probably like 5 days or like a week after this, I finally wrote it. Once again, extremely slow because of exams. Don't hit me up, it'll get better in a couple days. But this is my intro to the writer's retreat. And I hope you guys are doing well. Maybe you guys are in the same boat where it's still exam season and you're in the trenches. Maybe you're already free, you're writing to your heart's content. I'll get there soon. Either way, I hope you're having fun. I hope your writing's going well. Let me know how it's going. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys in the future with more writing instead of schoolwork. And hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Wow.